Hello, folks. This is Jacob Harkey. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to talk a little bit about some updates that have gone on over the last few days in a couple of the court cases that I've been paying attention to involving the Church of Scientology. I want to say hi to a few people who have joined in the chat. I see Susie Q is here, says, "Hey, Jacob, happy V Day." Yes, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Mandy McGee says, "Hey, thank you for joining, Mandy." Now, if you caught my live stream yesterday, February 13th, I was at the Stanley Mosque Courthouse for a hearing in Bixler v. Scientology, um, where Scientology had made some motions to strike portions of the lawsuit filed by Danny Masterson's victims. Um, Arguing that the lawsuit was frivolous. And in some cases, they tried to strike entire causes of action, while in other cases, they were just trying to strike individual paragraphs. But anyway, we are still waiting on hearing a final ruling from the judge in that case. But in my video, I mentioned that I would be back at the courthouse today, February 14th, for a hearing in Leah Remini's lawsuit. Now, I didn't end up going back to the courthouse today because last night I checked the Los Angeles Superior Court website to look at the case calendar, and I did not see that there was still any hearing scheduled for today. So I thought that that was strange. I wasn't sure why that was, but this morning, an article was released by Tony Ortega, which cleared up some of my confusion. So what I'd like to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and bear with me if it takes a moment. I am still getting the hang of how everything works here on StreamYard, but looks like here we go. So this is an article that came out this morning. It's titled "Judge's Tentative Ruling in Leah Remini Lawsuit. David Miscavige, you are served." Now, we've got a picture right here of Judge Randolph Hammock, the judge in Leah Remini's case. And at the beginning of the article, Tony reminds readers of what happened last week. So I did a stream last week where I went to the courthouse for a hearing in the Jane Doe V Religious Technology Center lawsuit. And the topic of that hearing that I went to on Thursday of last week was very similar to what the topic of today's hearing was supposed to be, in that both of them were about a motion to quash service of summons. And in both cases, Miscavige was aiming to prove to the court that he had not been adequately served. He should not be a defendant in this case. Now, unfortunately, last week in the Jane Doe V Religious Technology Center hearing, the judge ended up siding with Miscavige and granting the motion to quash service of summons, meaning that David Miscavige is not officially a defendant in that lawsuit yet. Now, he did remind her legal team that service by publication is a potential remedy and a potential alternate route for pursuing service of David Miscavige, which she can pursue. So there is still hope that he will be named as a defendant in that case, but unfortunately, that has not happened yet. Now, in Leah Remini v. Scientology, there was supposed to be a hearing this morning that would be covering that same issue. Now, I had not read the judge's tentative ruling, but that's what Tony is writing about in this article. And what we see is that he has ruled that yes, indeed, he has been adequately served. And I want to go ahead and go through a specific portion of the tentative ruling that's shared here so that we can see exactly what the judge is saying. So, concluding observations. As this court commented at the most recent hearing in this case, this motion should never have been filed. This court had encouraged the lawyers for both sides to resolve the issue of service against Miscavige without the need for court intervention. Be that as it may, this court recognizes that Miscavige certainly has the right to be served by proper process of law. Although we are well within the 21st century, these rather antiquated service laws still exist and must be enforced by the courts. So be it. Miscavige was, in fact, properly served. But the arguments put forth by Miscavige, while mostly technical in nature, still must be reasonable. For example, to contend that plaintiff has not made reasonably diligent efforts to serve him simply stretches one's credulity. It is simply time for Miscavige to simply step up as a responsible member of our community to generally appear in this case and defend himself against the serious allegations being made against him by the plaintiff in this case. He is the apparent leader of a worldwide religious organization with considerable funds and support. He has, literally, teams of lawyers to defend him. Now is the time to utilize them to defend this case on its merits. It is so ordered. So, this is big news in that the judge is ruling that Miscavige has been served and that all of his efforts to evade the courts and to evade process servers to avoid having to appear in court have not worked out well for him. Now, an update was published to this because there was some confusion, even on Tony's end, it sounded like, about was there going to be a hearing today? It sounds like this is still the tentative ruling for the hearing, but is the hearing actually happening? So, in any case, I decided not to go to the courtroom. I had been planning yesterday to go to the courtroom until I saw that the case, today's hearing was no longer on the calendar, and then I opted not to. Now, recently, an update was published to this article, which says the hearing won't be happening because Miscavige did accept service, but Judge Hammock had his tentative ruling posted anyway. How's them apples, Dave? Well, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen there. And I'm really excited now to see how this case continues to progress. Of course, there's still a long road ahead. If I'm not mistaken, the tentative trial date for Leah Remini v. Scientology is set for sometime in fall of 2025, as is the tentative trial date for Bixler v. Scientology. I don't remember either of the trial dates, the tentative trial dates off the top of my head, but I know that they're within a few months of each other and both in fall of 2025. I also want to talk a little bit while I'm on here about the upcoming hearing in Jane Doe V Religious Technology Center, which is going to be this Friday. First, I'll go ahead and say hi to some people in the chat. I see some more people have joined. Mary Gabrielle Southers says, hello, Jacob. Hi, Mary. Tina Belcher says, hello. Hi, Tina. DS says, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you as well as everybody else in the chat. Tampa B Man says, wow, I caught this at the perfect time. This is huge. Yes, it is. And thank you for being in here, Tampa B Man. And Daipo got some emojis in there. And Tampa B Man says, Aaron, better watch out. Your channel is on fire with the news. Yeah, I'm not looking to compete with anybody. I mean, Aaron does a great job, and he honestly is somebody who I will reference often as a source. He's somebody who does a very good job of explaining things and breaking them down. The more voices that we have speaking out against Scientology and bringing in our own unique perspectives, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And Aaron, I saw last time that he came to Los Angeles. We actually went out to the karaoke bar afterward, and we had a lot of fun. It's all love, nothing but love for AA Ron, which, as I'm sure you know, I know that you're just playing. All right. Now, what I wanted to talk about is what's coming up on this Friday. So this Friday, there is a hearing. And before I go on Friday, I will double check the calendar to make sure that that one hasn't been taken off the calendar like the one that was supposed to be today was. But presently, there is a hearing scheduled for this Friday, February 16th, 2024 at 10 a.m. At the Stanley Moss Courthouse. And that is for both case management conference as well as hearing on motion to compel arbitration. Now, the issue of arbitration is a hurdle that has plagued just about every lawsuit filed against Scientology in the last several years. So essentially, all Scientologists, as members of the church, are required to sign some documents agreeing that they give up any right to sue the church. They give up any right to have a lawyer represent them in any grievances being made against the church. And that's essentially what the summary of that agreement boils down to. And there have been examples of a few lawsuits in recent years which have been forced into arbitration and have actually been forced to go all the way through Scientology's process of what is really known in Scientology as a committee of evidence, or a COMEV, where you're being investigated by Scientology and Scientology has all of the power. So this, we have seen some examples of this happening in the Luis Garcia case, where Luis Garcia and his wife, who were Scientologists who made it all the way up to the top of the bridge, OT8, sued Scientology for not receiving the end result that they were promised. Valerie Haney is another ex-Scientologist who has sued the church, and her lawsuit, she was the ex-Sea Org member who left the Sea Organization by escaping in the back of someone's car, and she sued for the abuse that she endured. And she, if I'm not mistaken, just in the last couple of months, actually had her arbitration proceeding. I know that Aaron Smith Levin did do some videos reporting on that. Yeah, honestly, all of these instances of arbitration are stories that I would like to dig a little bit deeper into. But in the meantime, that's just a little bit of a background about what the history of arbitration has looked like. Now, this Friday, there will be a hearing on the motion to compel arbitration, where Scientology will be hoping that the judge will force the case into arbitration the way that some judges in the past have. Now, I'm hopeful that this will not happen. And the reason that I'm hopeful about that is that previously in December of 2023, the judge in this case, this is Judge Broadbelt, he offered, Jane Doe's legal team asked to be able to conduct limited discovery just pertaining to the arbitration agreement itself and the circumstances that led up to her signing that arbitration agreement. And I attended the hearing that preceded the judge's final ruling in that case, where he did allow her team to move forward with conducting limited discovery. I attended that hearing. That hearing was on December 13th, 2023. And that same day, I attended with Alexa Nikolas of Eat Predators. And then we went live on her channel to discuss some of what we saw. And it wasn't that same day that the judge released his final ruling. It was within the next couple of days. But her team made some arguments to the court about why that document never should have been enforceable, because it's an unconscionable document. She was forced to sign it without being able to really thoroughly read it. And the Scientology was essentially making the case that, oh, well, this is all private religious activity, and she's already agreed that she wouldn't take any complaints to the courtroom, so now she's abusing or manipulating the entire legal process. And the judge, you shouldn't be making any calls about whether or not she can conduct limited discovery. You should just be making sure that she's choosing an arbitrator and that we're moving forward with the arbitration process. Well, thankfully, the judge did allow Jane Doe's legal team to move forward with conducting limited discovery in order to gather materials related to the arbitration agreement and the circumstances that led up to her signing the arbitration agreement. But now what we will be watching to see on Friday is whether or not the limited discovery that Jane Doe's legal team has done will be enough to convince the judge that this case should not go into arbitration. I have no doubt that Scientology's attorneys will be there and will be making arguments for why this case absolutely should be moving into arbitration. But I'm very hopeful that that the judge will see through that. So we'll have to wait and see. I see a few more people have joined the chat. I'll say hi to some more people. DS says, "I wish I was there to sing with you guys." The more the merrier. If we had more people there, I'm sure it could have been a really, really fun time. Not that it wasn't a fun time with the folks that we did have, but maybe someday. Tampa B Man says, "I love Aaron. I support him in Clearwater. I was just joking." I figured. I miss him while he's been sick. Yeah, I feel you, because I definitely am not used to going this long, having to wait for another video. You definitely realize when one of your favorite creators who you're used to seeing daily content from stops the daily content, you realize how addicted you really are. So I know what you mean. Gina Marie Torino says, "Hello." She also says, "Jacob, I hope to see you Friday." Yes, I will be in the courtroom on Friday. If you'll be there as well, I would love to see you there. Good to see you in the chat, Gina. Cheshire Cat says, "Great work, Jacob." Thank you, Cheshire Cat. And Tina Belcher says, "Thanks for all this info." Of course. So those were the majority of the updates that I wanted to go through for today. But I figured that since we are talking about the arbitration agreements, what would be cool to take a look at would be the actual agreements themselves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen one more time. And this time, what I want to do is look at an article from Jeffrey Augustine's website. So Jeffrey Augustine runs the Scientology Money Project, and he has a link on his homepage that says the 4 evil Scientology contracts. And this is a really good resource that includes all of the 4 particularly evil contracts that all Scientologists are forced to sign into. So I want to go ahead and start by looking at this second contract, and I'll read through some of the details of exactly what it says. The second contract the new Scientologist must sign is called the Religious Services Enrollment Application, Agreement, and General Release. In this contract, one gives up the legal right to sue the Church of Scientology or to have a lawyer represent them in any dispute with Scientology. One also surrenders the right to a refund of any donations they have made to the organization. And to look through some of the specifics of what exactly is laid out there, I'll go ahead and keep reading. This contract memorializes my freely given consent to be bound exclusively by the discipline, faith, internal organization, and ecclesiastical rule, custom, and law of the Scientology religion in all matters relating to Scientology religious services, in all my dealings of any nature with the church, and in all my dealings of any nature with any other Scientology church or organization which espouses, presents, propagates, or practices the Scientology religion. By signing this contract, I recognize, acknowledge, and agree that my freely given consent to be bound exclusively by the discipline, faith, internal organization, and ecclesiastical rule, custom, and law of the Scientology religion in all matters relating to Scientology religious services, in all my dealings of any nature with the church, in all my dealings of any nature with any other Scientology church or organization which espouses, presents, propagates, or practices the Scientology religion, means that I am forever abandoning, surrendering, waiving, and relinquishing my right to sue or otherwise seek legal recourse with respect to any dispute, claim, or controversy against the church, all other Scientology churches, all other organizations which espouse, present, propagate, or practice the Scientology religion, and all persons employed by such entity, both in their personal and any official or representational capacities, regardless of the nature of the dispute, claim, or controversy. I'm going to stop there for a moment. The language that is used in these contracts makes it clear just how restrictive, how many rights you have to give up in order to go into any Scientology service. I mean, my freely given consent to be bound exclusively by the discipline, faith, internal organization, and ecclesiastical rule, custom, and law of the Scientology religion. The fact that you have to allow the church to hold all of the power in any Scientology service that you go into, seeing it all spelled out in this legal jargon is just a little disturbing. And of course, when Scientologists actually sign these kinds of agreements, they don't get to actually read it carefully or have a lawyer look over it with them, because the people who are choosing to sign these agreements are people who believe in Scientology and want to get Scientology services and believe that Scientology has all of the answers. So if they have all the answers, then why would you question all of this type of stuff? It's really manipulative to see it spelled out in the way that it is here. I want to look ahead a little bit to this next agreement, which is the agreement regarding confidential religious files. And in this particular contract, as Jeffrey lays out, a Scientologist forever signs away all their rights to ever read, inspect, review, or own their pre-clear folders. And he's got an excerpt here with some similar restrictive legal jargon. I'll go ahead and read just a little bit of it. In connection with my participation in religious services, the church and all other Scientology churches and organizations in which I participate in such religious services may compile a folder or folders containing its notations of my spiritual progress, known as a pre-clear folder or PC folder, as well as other ecclesiastical files containing notations regarding my spiritual progress. Now, this is something that came up very briefly in the hearing that I attended in December with Alexa regarding the motion to conduct limited discovery. Now, when Scientology's attorney, William Foreman, was making arguments for why Jane Doe's legal team should not be allowed to conduct limited discovery, he made a comment. Sorry, I heard something outside for a moment that threw me off. But he made a comment about the PC folders, where he essentially was not wanting to refer to the arbitration agreement as just an arbitration agreement. He wanted to point out that it was an agreement that included arbitration, but he mentioned that it also included her. I'm trying to remember the exact wording that he used because he made it sound less manipulative than it was. But he mentioned the fact that as a Scientologists believe that in order for their Scientology practice to stay orthodox, or whatever the proper term to describe proper Scientology tech and proper application of the Scientology religion, in order for the religion to be practiced properly, these PC folders must stay confidential. So by asking to pry and by asking to be able to look at materials from her pre-clear folder, she's being offensive to the Scientology religion, and she's going against what Scientologists believe in and going against their religious beliefs. And the reason that that's relevant to a Scientology attorney is that part of the limited discovery that part of the limited discovery that Jane Doe's legal team was looking to conduct had to do with looking into her pre-clear folders, which she does not have access to. Scientology has access to them, but because some of the conversations in her auditing sessions or conversations with her ethics officer at the time, some of those would fall under the umbrella of the situations that led up to her signing into that arbitration agreement. So her legal team wants to be able to look into those pre-clear folders, and that's what Scientology did not want to happen. So based on the ruling that the judge made in allowing Jane Doe's legal team to move forward with conducting limited discovery, that tells me that means that her legal team should be able to get into these pre-clear folders. Now, I do not know. I haven't looked at the documents that have been filed leading up to this hearing on Friday. So I'm not sure off the top of my head what kind of success, if any, she has had in being able to access her pre-clear folders. I have no doubt that any attempts to do that have been met with opposition by Scientology, to say the least. I'm sure they don't want her getting into her pre-clear folders, but this is going to be really interesting. Then we'll see. We'll have a little bit more clarity on Friday about what the limited discovery that Jane Doe's legal team has conducted has looked like. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'll come on back to the chat and see who else has come in to say hi. I see Tina Belcher says, I saw Streets LA on TikTok and went down a rabbit hole, and now I'm here. LOL. Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad that you found your way here. I will hopefully be joining up with Streets LA and other members of the Squirrel Squad on Friday after the hearing. If I'll be in LA already, why not? I'll have the night off. Tampa B Man says, hi, Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat says, Tampa B Man. I'm glad to see that there's some community building happening in the chat. We always love to see that. And Mary Gabrielle Souther says, holy cow, coverall, eh? Yeah, those Scientology contracts, you can be sure that Scientology goes out of their way to make sure that they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's to make sure that any possible chance that any plaintiff or any ex-Scientologist might have of achieving justice are they're trying to put hurdles in every way that they can. And I'm thinking that's what you meant by coverall, if I'm understanding you correctly. But yes, definitely. Thank you for the comment. Tampa B Man says, I love this guy. I appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you for being here. And DS says, That just trash contract to be a slave to them. Seems like they want to be a slave to Satan. Yeah, these contracts really are very restrictive. They require anybody who wants to make any progress in Scientology or make any progress moving up the Scientology bridge, going into a Scientology auditing session, you got to give up a lot of rights, unfortunately. DS says, "Wonder if they shred the files so they can't get into the folders." Um in Jane Doe's case specifically, I don't know the answer to this. I do know that this has been done in the past because I know that in the wake of Lisa McPherson's death back in 1995, there were great lengths were gone to destroy all evidence of what had been going on in the final days of Lisa McPherson's life. And actually, one person who I've spoken to about this is Lara. I'm sure that many of you who are on this channel are probably familiar with Lara FM. I think a handful of people who have subscribed to me have been sent over here by her. But she has spoken before about the fact that when she was a young Sea Org member and working in Clearwater, she was one person who was actually tasked with shredding documents. And she didn't know what they were at the time, nor was she asking because she was still a devout Scientologist at the time. But I do know that shredding up files so that folders can't be accessed is something that has been done in the past. So if there's any time that Scientology would be likely to do that, it seems that when they've got a lawsuit being filed against them and upcoming hearings, particularly ones in which plaintiffs are trying to get into their PC folders, I wouldn't put it past them. So that's definitely not a bad theory there. Cheshire Cat says, "Yes, Jacob is a treasure." Thank you so much. I'm really feeling the love this Valentine's Day in the chat. Thank you. And Jamie S says, "Happy to see you here, Jacob." Jamie from last week at Molly M's. Yes, happy to see you here. Jamie, I met at Lara FM's show, which was at Molly Malone's last Thursday, and she recognized me from my streams, which was super cool that I had a fan coming up to me to say hi. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here, Jamie. Good to see you in here. And Tampa B Man says, "I'm the only one who doesn't have a channel that's been walking the streets of Clearwater since the first time. I stay in the back and support. I really like your channel." Well, thank you very much for the support on here. And if you do ever decide to make a channel and follow along with everybody, it looks like you do have a channel if you're commenting from the YouTube platform. But I'm assuming that you just mean that you haven't been posting or streaming. And to be honest, that was me for a little while too, because I attended my first Scientology protest in September, and with Eat Predators, I attended one at Big Blue in September and one at Celebrity Center in October. And then I started protesting with the Squirrel Squad at the Shrine Auditorium in December. But at all of those, I was not streaming. Or actually, that's not true. In December, I did stream to Louis Repetto's channel. I joined his StreamYard link and streamed that way. But at all of the other ones that I had been to up until that point, I had been just there to support. I figured there were already so many people that were there and so many people that were already getting so many different angles. And do we really need another angle was kind of how I was looking at it. But the more that I've gotten to know people and the more that I've chatted with other folks that are out there, the more I decided that I did want to start streaming. I figured I was able to. I've been following what's been going on with the Church of Scientology and some of the ongoing lawsuits and ongoing controversies over the last few years. And I figured if I'm able to help answer questions or help people understand, or even just provide another angle for important context, then I'd love to. And one thing that honestly made me realize how that can be really necessary was when Aaron was detained by the police in Los Angeles. That made me realize, and seeing that many people had different angles of him being attacked by the guy who attacked him. It made me realize that there is actually some value to having multiple angles, even if we have several people in the same location and we're all filming generally the same thing. Having multiple angles can sometimes be a good thing, especially if a crime is committed and we want to have evidence of it. And we don't want the camera to be, if the camera is shaky that one person is holding, but others have a clearer image of it, which was definitely the case in Aaron being hit that day. if you look at his own stream, it's a little bit harder to see because there was some shakiness, but other people caught it more clearly. And so that was just another thing that made me realize, you know what? I've been coming out here, I've been supporting. I do want to start streaming. So thank you for being in the chat and for everybody who's been here supporting my stream since I have gotten started from it. I appreciate you all a lot. Dustin Fountain says, watching from Clearwater. Thank you, Dustin. Lexi Evans says, I'm glad we got this update today. I've been wondering what the outcome was all day. Thank you for all you do. Of course. And thank you, Lexi, for being a regular in here. You've been a frequent flyer in the chat since I've started streaming. I appreciate you. I appreciate you always being in here. And Tampa B-Man says, that didn't really make sense, but I like your channel. Sorry if I'm not making sense. I'm doing my best here. Tampa B-Man says, hey, Dustin. Glad to see the community building. Dia says, love Mindy. She is a sweetheart. Mindy is awesome. Mindy is another one who joined us at karaoke after the protest that Aaron came out to LA for. And she and I actually sang a duet of Suddenly Seymour. She actually shared a video of it with me recently. So maybe if I get permission with her, I can share that if anybody's interested to see. But Mindy is great. Mindy is really awesome. Susie Q says, you did a great job there with Alexa. Thank you, Susie Q. Yeah, we did our best. We had a fun day. And I'm hoping that maybe she'll be able to join me again. I'm going again this Friday. So I'll reach out to her and see if she's interested in joining me again, because that would be a lot of fun if she wants to come out again to go support Jane Doe in the courtroom. Dustin Fountain says, I don't have a channel and walk the flag as much as I can. Gotcha. Well, yeah, like I was saying to others in the chat, if you do decide that you want to start streaming on there, I'm sure that you will have a built-in audience ready to support you. But if you just want to be another one just there to support the people who are already streaming, that's totally awesome too. But thank you, Dustin. DS says, can you call the FBI and let them know that Scientology makes fake calls to LAPD and LA Fire Department? I don't know how much me calling the FBI is going to sway them to take action, but oh my goodness, you can bet that I would love to see some action being taken to put an end to all of the nonsense that Scientology gets themselves into and Scientology gets the LAPD into. I've been present when they've shown up, when the LAPD has shown up responding to what appear to me to be some bogus calls, and I really would love for that to stop. It's hard to know for sure what, at this point, if anything, it's going to take, but thank you for the comment. I hope we reach justice soon. Cheshire Cat says, keep at this, Jacob. Your perspective is valuable. You are especially grounded. Thank you, Cheshire Cat. Yeah, I'm doing my best here. I'm still getting the hang of streaming and getting the hang of all of the equipment and technology, but I appreciate the support and I appreciate the compliments. Yeah, but Me-Man says, you are a very talented creator. Yeah, honestly, this is the best Valentine's Day gift I could have hoped for, is just all the love that I'm getting from everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody. I'm also seeing some hearts from Ron Kibble. Tampa B-Man says, Dustin, have we met? Building some community. Love it. Cheshire Cat, keep at this, Jacob. Your perspective is especially valuable and grounded. Thank you. Ron Kibble says, keep up the good work. Thank you, Ron. Dustin Fountain says, if not, hopefully soon. Yeah, if you guys are all able to meet, I would love that. DS says, yes, I want to see it. All right, well, that settles it. I will be reaching out to Mindy and asking her if I can, if I have her permission to post the Suddenly Seymour video. I don't know how great the quality of the video is, but the audio is not bad. Well, I'll see what she says. I think that she'll be okay with it, but I'm glad that you want to see it. That tells me maybe I should start doing some more music on here. Pippi Longstocking says, hello, everyone. Hello, Pippi Longstocking. I have not thought about Pippi Longstocking in a while. That was a cartoon that I was a fan of when I was younger, and it's nice walk down memory lane to see Pippi Longstocking in my chat. Tampa B-Man says, you're making perfect sense. It was my previous post that didn't make sense. Gotcha. I see. Thank you for clarifying. Cheshire Cat says, definitely interested to hear Suddenly Seymour. Yeah, I am a big fan of the musical Little Shop of Horrors, and that is definitely one of my go-to karaoke songs. If I'm talking to a woman at karaoke who would like to do a duet, this time it was actually Mindy's idea. I sang, what was the first song that I sang? I sang Fireball by Pitbull. That was a lot of fun. And then Mindy was like, "Do you know Suddenly Seymour? We've got to sing Suddenly Seymour." And I was like, "Yes, of course I do." It was awesome. It was really fun. So yeah, the fact that some of you are interested to hear it, I will have to do what I can to get it up. Pippi Longstocking says the trafficking needs to stop. Agree. Amen to that. I definitely agree with you there. Jamie S says you're doing great and appreciate your presence. Solid and genuine. Thank you so much, Jamie. And DS says, Jacob, you always love from Indiana. Got viewers from all over the map. I love to see it. Oh, Susie Q says I want to see it too. All right. I've got an audience that's looking to see me singing Suddenly Seymour with Mindy. So it will be happening. As soon as I get that go ahead from her, you can count on it to be out there. Dustin Fountain says, I will be out at Flag on Saturday. Awesome. I hope that Aaron is feeling better soon, and so that he'll start streaming again soon. I know there's another account that streams in Clearwater. I haven't checked the last few days to see if the audits in Clearwater have continued, but I think the account is named Surrounded by Scientology, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you'll be out there on Saturday, I'll be sure to look out for that to see if anything interesting happens there on the Scientology audits in Clearwater, Florida. Jenna P says, how long were you in Scientology? I actually was not. I am what we tend to refer to in the anti-Scientology community as a never in. I was never in Scientology, but I started paying attention to the abuses involving the Church of Scientology in about fall of 2020, when Leah Remini, Scientology in the Aftermath was put on Netflix. That was really what got me started in learning about Scientology. And it got to the point where every episode that I saw just made me more and more interested to see the next episode, but also more and more infuriated that this organization gets away with everything it gets away with. So I just got to the point where I couldn't learn enough. I started reading Mike Rinder's blog. I started reading Tony Ortega's website, The Underground Bunker. I read Leah Remini's book. I read Mark Headley's book. And it's just been nonstop since then. There's no shortage of information about what's going on in the world of Scientology, and it never stops being interesting to me. So I'm especially now that I've started protesting after meeting people like Lara and Serge. Now I want to be allies to them. And so not only is it interesting to me, but it's a cause that I just can't stop paying attention to. But to answer your question, 0 days is how long I was in Scientology. And then DS says, I have the DVD movie. Is that Little Shop of Horrors? Yeah, it's a fun one. I assume that you're talking about the musical one with Rick Moranis. I know there was another version before that was not a musical, if I'm not mistaken. But Little Shop of Horrors is so much fun. Jamie S says maybe the Little Shop of Hussies version for DOA. That could be fun. Yeah, we had some fun parodying, or not actually really parodying, I guess, just covering the Flag is Here song, as well as We Stand Tall. That would be fun if we did some parodies related to Scientology or DOA and other protesters. I'll have some fun. More on that idea later. I've got some ideas brewing. Tampa B-Man says that you have a great voice. Thank you so much, Tampa B-Man. Oh, Susie Q says, yes, George. Tampa B-Man says, Dustin, were you there last weekend? Dustin says that George, oh yes, that's George, Surrounded by Scientology. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. That's right. Clearwater George, I think he might sometimes go by. And yes, Surrounded by Scientology. So yeah, I'll be sure to check up on his channel and see if anything interesting has gone on over the last few days. Tampa B-Man says, Dustin, I think we've met. Oh, interesting. Sounds like some lost connections are being rekindled in the chat. I love to see it. Pippi Longstocking says, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you, Pippi Longstocking. DS says, yes. Oh, yes. The Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis. You can't go wrong. It's a really fun one. If you have not seen Little Shop of Horrors and you are in the chat, I can't recommend that musical and that movie enough. It's a lot of fun. There's a couple of songs from that musical, actually, that have been go-to karaoke songs of mine. I have another friend we've tended to like to sing the song Downtown, Skid Row from Little Shop, which is a group number that has a lot of parts, and the two of us will just play all of the characters, and we can be theater dorks when the time is right, but we have a lot of fun. And anytime I'm thinking about Little Shop of Horrors, I get lots of good memories from when I was a high school theater kid and we put on Little Shop my junior year. Dustin Fountain says Tampa, yes. Tampa B-Man says, I thought so. You had shorts on and it was cold. Reminds me of myself. When I was a little boy, I never wanted to wear jeans. It didn't matter how cold it was. I would always be wearing shorts. And DS says, love the movie The Wiz with Diana Ross with Michael Jackson. That is a fun one too. He's gone down the road. There are some good songs from that musical too. So maybe some song from that musical will be on my agenda to cover at a karaoke night sometime soon as well. So yeah, thank you for reminding me of that one. And Susan Henderson says, could I get a love shout out for my favorite couple, Peggy and Reese? Loving the stream. Shout out to Peggy and Reese. And thank you, Sean Henderson, for tuning on in. I appreciate you being here. And Dustin Fountain says, we don't own pants here in Florida. Yeah, I know. I've been to Florida a few times, and my experience when I have been there is it has tended to be pretty humid. And I don't think that I recall that I was wearing pants a whole lot when I was there either. So I get it. But thank you for sharing. Tampa B-Man says, Dustin, how crazy to see each other here. I really like Jacob. I'm so glad that you guys reconnected in the chat, and I really appreciate all of your comments in here. DS says they only wear underwears. I will not lie. That is what went into my head too when I heard we don't own pants here. And I'm a honey baby sweetie doll. I'm a honey baby sweetie doll. I wanted to make sure I read that right. It says thanks for the updates. Of course, Tampa B-Man. DS, not necessarily. One other thing that I meant to mention earlier that I forgot to, that I'll go ahead and swing it on over to now. I got reminded when I was looking at Jamie's comments about the fact that we met at Lara FM's show last week. Lara FM will be doing another show tomorrow. So I'm going to share my screen again real quick. And this time I want to look at a post from her Instagram page. And this is the details for tomorrow. So tomorrow at the Art Share LA Theater, that's at 801 East 4th Place in Los Angeles. The info is on this flyer. The doors will be open at 7 p.m. 8 p.m. is going to be showtime. It's a $10 donation is the cost, and you can pay that at the door, or you can also Venmo Lara, or Venmo or Zelle Lara, it looks like, and she's got the details for payment on her Instagram page, and she's Lara FM Music on Instagram. And I have been so graciously invited by Lara to perform on the show with her. Now, when I performed on her show last week I did a set before her where I was playing some cover songs. Tomorrow night, I will be joining her for some of her songs. And I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous. I definitely will practice some of her songs some more once I get off the stream to make sure that I'm as ready as can be. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. But, live performance, karaoke is one thing because I'm definitely an amateur when it comes to playing guitar. When it comes to singing, I feel that I tend to be relatively comfortable when it comes to singing, and karaoke has really been an awesome opportunity for me to get comfortable with my voice and with singing on stage. But playing and singing is definitely a different ball game. There's definitely this feels like there's a little bit more pressure on. And last week definitely felt like a bit of a step out of my comfort zone, but you know what? That's a good thing. I'm glad that I got up there. It was in front of an audience of really supportive people. So thank you to Jamie and to Gina and anybody else who may be in the chat who was in there. It was, oh, did my light go out? Let me see if I can get this back on. One moment. Oh, you know what? Been on here a little too long. It looks like my light has gone out. Now my face looks so dark. Let me see if I can just bring up the brightness on my computer. All right, that does it a little bit. Except now I look so grainy. Well, as long as my audio's okay, hopefully that'll be all right for now. But I will make a note that I need to charge my light in here so that I don't look so grainy next time I go on here. Um, Anyway, I was in the middle of a thought and then my light went out and I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So last week's show, it was a bit of a step out of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad that I got to do it. I'm very thankful to Lara for having me on, and I'm super excited to be back on there again with her tomorrow night. If you are in the LA area and you are able to join, I would love to see you there. I'd love to meet more of you. Um, let's see who else. Who else has been in the chat? It looks like Lexi Evans. The guy that got Lara at the first protest is coming out and talking to the Squirrel Squad. His name is Tony. Seems to be the same guy. I don't know his reasoning for coming out, but keep an eye out. Thank you for letting me know. I did not know about that. I'm curious, is that something that just happened within the last week? To be honest, sometimes it's a little bit tough for me to keep track of everything that happens. I don't meet up with the Squirrel Squad every night. Normally, I'm only free to do that on weekends. So I do plan to join up with them again this coming Friday. Yeah, this Friday. Um, but yeah, I'll have to catch myself up on what I've missed and what has been eventful that's gone on in the last week. But I didn't realize I was not aware or hadn't heard that the same guy who hit her tripod at the first protest is harassing her again. Or if I'm thinking of the same one. To be honest, Laura has been unfortunately on the receiving end of some harassment from people who are not a fan of her protesting more than once. So I'll look into this. I'm super curious to know more details here. But thank you for letting me know, Lexi. Tampa B Man says Lexi, very interesting. Pippi Longstocking says nobody wants to hear me sing. Well, the nice thing about karaoke is that the stakes are pretty low. Nobody has super high expectations for a performer at karaoke. And for somebody like me coming out of high school theater, after I had been doing musical theater when I was in high school, sometimes those performances, even if they were just for friends or family and they were relatively low stakes performances, sometimes they could still feel pretty nerve wracking because the audience has to pay to be there and you're on stage, all the lights are on you, the lights are out in the audience and everybody in the audience is quiet. That can be pretty nerve wracking, even if it's just an audience of family and friends. Karaoke is a different vibe because when you do karaoke at a bar, most of the people who are there didn't come to see a good performance. So if you happen to be okay, then that's great. And even if not, well, the people didn't come to see you anyway. They came to have a drink and hang out. So it's always a fun vibe. I always have fun with karaoke. I never get too nervous. And I feel like karaoke has actually been really good for me personally in overcoming some stage fright and just becoming more comfortable on stage. So I don't know, Pippi, if singing is something that you are interested in or that you are looking to get more comfortable with. But if by any chance it is, you can never go wrong with karaoke. Karaoke is a great way to get experience, in my opinion. Dustin Fountain says, I'm looking for a live streamer to protest on contract night with me on concert night. There is a concert venue in downtown Clearwater. After a concert, there is gridlock traffic in front of Flag. That is interesting. That would be really cool to be protesting in front of Flag while there's gridlock traffic there. Because what I have understood to be the case about Flag is that there tend to not be a whole lot of people there. Who are especially who are not Scientologists. And if there's gridlock traffic, that could be an opportunity for a lot of people driving by to see signs or to hear people protesting and honk their horns. Yeah, that would be really cool. So, which night is that? You said it's on concert night. Is there? Yeah, I'm not sure which night that is, but that would be really cool if you're able to get a live streamer to join you out there. Best of luck with that. And Tampa B Man says it'll be easy with Lara. Seriously, yeah, Lara's awesome, and she was super supportive of me that night, and she's been super supportive of me these last few days, and super excited to have me on the show, which has really meant a lot to me. That's really been awesome for my confidence and any insecurities or reservations I may have had about getting up there. So yeah, Lara's awesome. I'm super excited to get up there with her tomorrow. Like I said, I will be practicing some more tonight before I get off this. Once I get off this stream, but yeah, she's really great, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. Dustin Fountain says that's a great time to spread the word. Yeah, when there's gridlock traffic and right in front of Flag, that's the time. DS says it's okay, you still cute. Thank you, DS. Yeah, I don't think that this current lighting situation is the most flattering, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you, DS. And Tampa B-Man says, Dustin, do you know SPIT, Kai? I'm assuming those are other live streamers in the Clearwater area. I don't know if I'm familiar with them, but I can never come across enough SPTV creators. So if there are more live streamers down there, yeah, I might have to look into those as well. Thank you for dropping them in the chat. Pippi Longstocking says you're adorable. Thank you, Pippi. You guys, I really am feeling the love in this chat tonight. I really appreciate you all a lot. Honestly, this is about the best way I could have hoped to have been spending my Valentine's Day evening this year. So thank you all so much for being in here and for all of the compliments. You really all are too kind. Pippi Longstocking says, are you going to protest tonight? Tonight, I'm not going to. Yeah, LA, where the rest of the Squirrel Squad is going to be tonight is a little bit of a drive from where I'm at. And I do have to be up sort of early tomorrow morning to work on something for school. And then tomorrow, after I take care of what I need to take care of for school, then I'm going to go meet up with Lara and rehearse a bit before our show. But in any case, I will not be protesting tonight. Tomorrow night, yeah, probably not tomorrow night either, because if I've got to be up Friday morning for that hearing, then I'll probably have to head home relatively soon after the show is done tomorrow night. But Friday night, I am expecting to be out there, so you can't expect to see me going live Friday night. Oh, SPIT is in here. Hi, Tampa Bay man. Hi, SPIT. I don't think that I'm familiar with you, but thank you for joining. It's always nice to see more folks in the chat. Thank you for being here. Tampa B Man says he'd meet you. So would Lori Plays, Feral Cheryl, and George. Okay, so it sounds like these are the accounts of people who are doing the live streaming down in Clearwater. So thank you for dropping those names. I'll have to make sure that I'm subscribed to them all, if not already. Thank you, Tampa B Man. Lexi Evans says, yeah, SPTV fan puts the videos together and it looks like the same guy. I went back and watched the protest. He pops up at timestamp 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 30 seconds on the 928 protest live on Lara's channel. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I will definitely have to go back and check that out. If that is the same guy who's now harassing the Squirrel Squad, that's something, because he really gave the vibe at the big, or he was presenting himself at the Big Blue protest as, oh, well, I'm not on anybody's side. I just own a business around here and I just don't want all the noise. But if now he's harassing members of the Squirrel Squad as well, well, that's indicative that maybe he is a little bit more in Scientology's pocket than he's letting on. So thank you for letting me know, Lexi. I'll have to check up on that. Tampa B Man says SPIT spit, hilarious. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read that as SPIT or as spit, but yeah, I'm curious. If you want to let us know, SPIT/spit, feel free to let us know. I sure would. Haha. Spit says. Dustin Fountain says, Tampa, I have not met Spit yet. Amy M says they're back at La Poubelle tonight. Gotcha. I will probably hop on one of their streams after I get off of here. I was at La Poubelle with them. Was that Friday night? I think that was Friday night that I was there with them. And I was there with Jessica Streets. Cam was there. Sammy was there. And DOA was there, and that was an eventful night. And actually, it continued to be eventful even after I left. My phone was close to running out of battery around 11:30, so I left around 11:30 p.m. that night. But the rest of them continued streaming until after 2 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. So some of these members of the Squirrel Squad are really, really dedicated to the cause, which I love to see. And I've told some of my friends, I never would have thought that there would have been a group of people protesting every night in Los Angeles, and I wouldn't be the most dedicated one of them, because I know that a handful of my friends think of me as the Scientology expert of the friend group. I don't have I don't before I started protesting Scientology, I didn't know anybody who paid as much attention to Scientology as I did. But I love to see that there's this whole community of people who is paying such close attention every night. Um, but thank you for letting me know, Amy, that that's where they're back tonight. I'll be sure to check them out. Tampa B Man says, spelled your name wrong, but I was phonetically correct. DS says, I started singing in bars and found out I'm good at the blues. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I remember you had said that you would have liked to have sung with us. Well, did you say that you were in Indiana? I think you had mentioned where you were chatting in from earlier in the stream, and I can't remember. I think you said Indiana, but that's awesome. That's awesome that you're singing in bars. I think that's the way to do it. That's a great place to get experience. SPIT says, no worries. Love you just the same. Tampa B Man says, SPIT is amazing. He's been going down more than me. He's a great guy, and he's in here. Yeah, that's awesome. So I will make sure. I will make sure that I subscribe to you so that I can be checking out and making sure that I am following up with all of the people who are doing Scientology audits in LA, Clearwater, and wherever else it may happening. Anthony Powell says, are you a law student? Currently, I am not. I did take the LSAT, the law school admissions test, in October of this past year, and I had been working on the law school application process during this application cycle, thinking about a plan to start in the fall. But I've had a lot of back and forth over the last few months about what I want to do and what the future looks like for me. I mentioned that I was in school and I had a school thing to take care of tomorrow. That's actually for film school. I'm currently taking classes in film production, television production, and radio broadcasting, and that's another field that I'm really interested in. I'm also really interested in reporting, which is YouTube has been really great in just giving me some experience in making my voice heard. I'm also really interested in activism, and sometimes I wonder is when it comes to being an activist versus being a journalist, is that something where I can do both? Because typically, being a journalist calls for a certain degree of objectivity, but I tend to include my opinions. So, like, for example, when it comes to reporting on Scientology, I am somebody who wants to see Scientology lose their tax exempt status. I want to see justice for the victims of Scientology. And typically, when a journalist or a reporter is just reporting on the facts of a case, they'll try not to insert their opinion too much. And when I talk outside the courtroom about what's going on in the courtroom, I do try to report the facts and talk about what happened truthfully, but I do also definitely throw my opinion in there. So that kind of puts somewhat of a question in my mind of, am I more on the activist side? Could I be a journalist while also being an activist? That's honestly a question that I don't know that I really have the answer to, and probably one that I will continue to explore and continue to ponder. And anyway, to answer your question, am I a law student? Not currently. I am interested in law school. I think the biggest thing that holds me back is money, because it's not cheap to go to law school, and I know that a lot of people who go to law school end up taking out a lot of money in debt and then spending their first several years practicing as attorneys, just working to pay off that debt. And if I'm when I think about the kinds of cases that I would want to take on, I would love to be helping or working for clients who are taking on big corrupt organizations like the Church of Scientology. And I don't know that it's hard to say how much money there would be to make in the kind of law that I would be interested in practicing, and whether or not that would warrant me taking on the kind of debt that could be necessary to go to law school. So it's something that I'm still looking into. I plan to retake the LSAT and hopefully earn a higher score so that I can potentially look through going through that process again. But like I said, I'm also in film school. I'm also taking television production classes. I'm also taking radio broadcasting. Those are also things that I'm interested in. So I'm kind of getting my feet wet in a couple of different career paths, and we'll see what the future holds. If I'm able to reach a point where I can get a big enough audience and get my channel monetized on here that this can be a lucrative side hustle, that would be really awesome. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But thank you for the question, Anthony. We gave a slightly longer answer than you may have been asking for there, but I appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you. Tampa B-Man says Feral Cheryl is hilarious. Her father's an OT8, 96, and too mean to die. I will have to check out her channel some more too. I've definitely heard her referenced, but yeah, I'll have to make sure that I subscribe to her and check out the channel some more. Thank you for letting me know. Lovely Birds says Happy Valentine's Day, Jacob. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Lovely Birds. Lovely Birds, you are another frequent flyer. You've consistently been in my chat, so thank you. Thank you for being a consistent supporter of the channel. I appreciate having you here. Lexi Evans says he's not harassing anyone necessarily, but he's coming to get all the information. Got it. Okay. No bad interactions that I've seen. Tao, Danny, and Streets have talked to him on their lives. Maybe more. Okay. Well, still interesting. I'm assuming that this was at Big Blue, if he because that was where we saw him at the 928 protest. Was it? Yeah, I'm curious to know if that's where it was or if it was somewhere else. But thank you for letting me know, and thank you for the clarification. Crystal says, Crystal says, hi all, I'm jumping chats to show love. It's great to see the Clearwater peeps here. Jumping chats, I'm sure. Did you come from somebody else's stream? Is that what you mean by jumping chats? If so, I'm curious whose stream you came from and whose stream I have to check out next. And SPIT says, you can say it either way, but it's SP Information Technology. Got it. I love it. I'm a data center security architect turned SP streamer, born and raised here in Clearwater. Gotcha. Well, it's always great to have more folks in the SPTV community. And thank you for the clarification there. And thank you for being in here. I really appreciate it. SPIT says, thanks. That's for all of the support. Absolutely. DS says, yes, Indiana. That's right. I thought that's what you said. Awesome. And SPIT says, channel is Spit Clearwater, no spaces. Thanks, y'all. Yeah, so if you're in the chat, be sure to give him a follow over there. Spit Clearwater, no spaces. Another proud member of the SPTV community. Dustin Fountain says, I used to host karaoke. I still can't sing. I have the equipment, though. Right on. Well, I will be sure to hit you up if I wind up in your neck of the woods ever, if I'm looking for somebody to host a karaoke event where you're at. That's awesome. Crystal says, someone's community tab has a list of SPTV channels. Is it Full Court Press maybe? Gotcha. I don't think I was aware of that. I have seen, I think it's the SPTV fans page post a Google Doc with a link to a handful of channels on there. And DOA, when he posts his streams, he tends to link to a lot of other channels too. I should start doing that too. I'm still kind of in the early phases of customizing my channel, and there's definitely still some more bling that I can add to make my channel look cooler. I'm still a fairly new to this whole YouTube creator platform, but thank you for letting me know. I'll have to make sure that I'm subscribed to all those SPTV channels there. Dustin Fountain says, I don't just follow Scientology. I also follow the FLDS for many years. That's the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. And yes, I have kept an eye on them to some extent as well. I'm assuming that you saw the documentary. Oh, what's his name? Oh, there was an FLDS documentary that came out recently. And oh gosh, it's driving me crazy that I can't remember the name of the main predator who was exposed. Warren Jeffs, is that it? I don't want to be wrong. No, let me look up that name and see if I'm thinking of the right person. Warren Jeffs. Yes. Okay. So there's a lot of really horrific stories involving the FLDS, and I would actually love to branch out into some discussions of other cults as well. I've also paid a lot of attention to Nexium. If you all saw The Vow with Sarah Edmondson and Mark Vicente, a lot of really interesting stories there, and a lot of parallels to Scientology. The practices are very similar between a lot of these high control organizations, and I would definitely like to devote some more time to focusing on some of them as well. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Dustin. Yeah, yeah, more to come if and when I do decide to take some deeper dives into some of those other organizations. Gems of SPTV says, "Greetings all. Thank you for being here, Gems of SPTV. Happy Valentine's Day to you." Tampa B Man says, "Spit is blowing some kissy faces over to SPIT." Cheshire Cat says, "Jacob, can we send some support to you at your PayPal account or somewhere like that? Don't be shy. We want to send you encouragement." Cheshire Cat, that is so kind of you. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, I am on Venmo. I'm Jacob A. Harkey on Venmo. If you, am I right about that? You know what? I don't want to say the wrong username. Let me double check. One sec. Normally when I pull up my account, I'm with the friends that I'm doing it with, so I would just have them scan, or I would scan their barcode, but I'm pretty sure I got my username right. Let me see. Yes, Jacob A. Harkey. No spaces or dashes or anything, and that's me on Venmo. Yeah, if you are feeling generous and looking to send something my way, of course it's not necessary. Everybody who's in the chat here, I'm thankful to you all just for being here. But hey, if you wanna support me, I I will welcome Venmos from any of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Cheshire Cat. That's very kind of you. Tampa B Man says, "Dustin, good to know. They both are icky." Yes, FLDS and Scientology both. Spit says, "I think Magic Mike has a list in his community page." Got it. Thank you for letting me know. I'll be sure to check him out as well. Gems of SPTV says, "Keep sweet and obey." Yes, that's the documentary that I was thinking of. Is that what it was called? I think you are right about that. I think that's the one that I was thinking of. But yeah, horrific, but certainly interesting. It's yeah. Sometimes these cult documentaries, they're as gross as they are. I cannot look away. Dustin Fountain says, "I've seen AI the documentary and been to Short Creek 3 times." Wow. I will Short Creek, is that, I might be blanking on which state that's in, but yeah, there's sometimes the cultiverse, I get different stories mixed up with each other, but that's really interesting that you've been there. I would be curious to hear more about your experience. Dustin Fountain says, "I'm very dyslexic, so sorry for any misspellings." Don't stress about it. No worries, no worries. I can tend to misspell when I'm typing things fast in other people's chats too. So yeah, no worries at all. And then Jacob A. Harkey at Venmo. Yes, yes, that's my Venmo username is Jacob A. Harkey. Oh yeah, if you're feeling generous. Whoops, my AirPod is falling out. What's going on here? If you're feeling generous and you wanna send me something on Venmo, it's Jacob A. Harkey. That's really kind of you, Cheshire Cat. I wasn't expecting anybody to say that in here, but you're awesome. Thank you. Lexi Evans says, "All interactions are late at night and at the Big Blue. Never when Lara is there, obviously." Interesting. Interesting that he'll come out when she's not there, but not when she is. Thank you for letting me know, Lexi. Enough about that. I just care about all of your well being. Good luck tomorrow. Kick butt. Thank you so much, Lexi. And then Dustin Fountain says, "State line, Utah and Arizona." Got it. Got it. Okay. That's right. That's what I remember. All right. Well, let me think about what I've got to do now. I definitely want to check on some of the other streamers who might be streaming now. It sounds like the Squirrel Squad is at La Poubelle again, so I'll check on them again, and then I'll be hopping into, or excuse me, I'll be practicing some of the songs that I'll be playing tomorrow night with Lara. So this was a fun stream. Happy Valentine's Day again to everybody who's here. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you are able to spend the remainder of your evening doing something with your loved ones. And I will, if you are coming to the show tomorrow, and if you are in the LA area and you're able to make it to the show tomorrow, then I will see you there. Be sure to say hi. And otherwise, I will see you with a court update on Friday morning or Friday afternoon, depending on how long the hearing goes. And I will see you all Friday night as I'm streaming again with the Squirrel Squad. That's the plan anyway. Real quick before we go, Dustin Fountain says, "Thank you, bro. Keep up the awesome work." Of course, and thank you. DS says, "Love you. Stay safe." Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you to everybody for everything. Tampa B Man says, "Have a great night, everyone." All right. On that night, have a great night, Tampa B Man. Have a great night, everybody else. And I will see you next time. Good night, everybody.